This session we will see a new data type in Python, that is tuple. So just like list, tuple is also a compound data type. You know, compound data type is a collection of data items, right? Any variable which can hold a set of items together in a single name, that can be called as a compound data type. So list was an example for compound data type, and tuple is also an example for compound data type. So first we will see what's the major difference between this tuple and list. Tuple is similar to a list, but tuples are immutable. That is a major difference between a list and a tuple. That means tuple, when we assign a value, after that we cannot modify that value. That is immutable property. We will see with the example later. Now how to create a tuple? By placing all the items or elements inside parentheses. So in case of list, it was square bracket. Here it is parentheses, and each items are separated by comma. And also a tuple can have any number of items and they may be of different types. Just like in case of list, the items or the members of a tuple can also be either homogeneous or heterogeneous. Now we will see some examples for tuples. If we assign like this, t is equal to empty parenthesis, that means we are assigning empty tuple to a variable t. Next one, tuple having integers, t is equal to 1, 2, 3 in bracket. It means t is a tuple with 3 elements, all the 3 are integers. And the third one, mixed data types. First is integer, second is a string, and the third one is a floating point number. And now we can have nested tuple also. An item or individual element in a tuple can be itself a tuple. Just for example here, the first is a string, second is a list, and what about the third one? It's again a tuple. The third element in this tuple is again another tuple with 3 integer values 1, 2, 3. Now tuple can be created without parentheses. Okay. So just for example here, t is equal to 3, 4.6, comma, dog. Without parentheses also can be assigned to a variable. This means t is a tuple with 3 elements. Okay. That is called packing. We are packing 3 items together into a tuple variable t. And the unpacking is also possible. That is, we can unpack the values within a tuple variable into individual variables. The reverse is happening here. You can see that a, b, c is equal to t means the first value within the tuple t will be assigned to a. That is here in this example 3 will be assigned to a, and the second one, that is 4.6, will be assigned to b, and the third string dog will be assigned to c. And this operation is called unpacking. We are unpacking the values of a tuple variable into individual data. Now what about a tuple with a single element, that is singleton tuple? So in that case, these methods of parenthesis or without parenthesis is enough or not. We will see an example for that. Here we are assigning a tuple with a single element 2 to a variable a. And after that, if it check the type of a, it will be returned as integer, because the Python interpreter assume that the value of a is 2, but is simply put in parentheses. Any expression we can put or express with or without parentheses, right? The same thing will be assumed by the interpreter. So the type of a will be int here. So if you want to specify that no, it's not an integer, it's a tuple, we have to specify like this, within parenthesis or without parenthesis, but put a comma after that element. Now if you type 2 or if you put the type a, if you want to print the type, then it will be displayed as tuple. Now how to access individual elements in a tuple? Just like list, here also we can use this indexing. We can use the index operator square bracket to access an item in a tuple. Index starts always from 0. So a tuple having 6 elements, we have index from 0 to 5. Trying to access an element other than this indices, will raise an error, that is index error. Okay, so if there are 6 elements, indexes will be 0 to 5. So if you are trying to access an item at index 7 or index 6, it will raise an error, that is called index error. The index must be an integer. We can't use a floating point or any other types as integer. Either a direct integer value or an expression which can be evaluated to an integer, that can be used as index for a tuple or any data type. Nested tuple are accessed using nested indexing. Just like in list, here also we can use the nested indexing to represent individual items in a nested tuples. Now, how to access elements in a tuple? We'll see some examples. We have initialized this T as this tuple with this much elements. First element is a string with the value P, then Y, then T, like that. All the items are similar type. So if we access the first element, we can specify it as T of 0. The item with index 0, that is P. T of 5 is N. T of 6, it will create an error because we have only indices from 0 to 5, right? Yeah, this is 0 and this is 5. So if we try to access an item which is out of this range, then it will raise an error, and here the error name is index error. Now let us take another example. T1 is another tuple variable which is assigned a value like this. It contains 3 different items. First one is a string, second one is a list, and third one is another tuple. So this is an example for nested tuple, right? So how to access individual items in case of a nested tuple? So here also we can use this 2-level indexing, double indexing, just like in case of list. Just for example, T1 of 0, 3. T1 of 0 means the first item in this tuple, that is Python. Inside that, the item with index 3, that is H, right? So it will return H. Like the T1 of 1. T1, 1, 1. T1, 1 means this list, right? Inside that, the item with index 1 is 4. So it will return 4. Like the T2 of 0 means the first item inside the item with index 2, that is 1, will be returned. Now here also we can apply this negative indexing. Just for example, T of minus 1, that will return the last item in this tuple, that is N. T of minus 6 means this is minus 1, this is minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5 and minus 6. This is item minus 6. So P will be written. Like that, negative indexing can be also applied. Now how to slice or how to cut a part of a tuple and assign to a variable. Slicing can be used. Using colon in case of a list, here also the same thing applicable. So example, the same tuple variable we took with same value. So T of 1 to 4. So all the items in this range of indices from 1, that is Y, to 4, that is O. That subpart of this tuple will be returned. Now how to change or delete a tuple? You remember the thing that tuples are immutable, right? So of course we are not able to change an existing value of a tuple. Just for example, T is equal to this tuple. 4 items are there. First item is an integer, second is also an integer, third is another integer, fourth one is a list. Now if you are trying to assign a new value to an individual item within this tuple, we want to change the second item in this tuple to 9 instead of 2. If you try that, it won't work. That is what you mean by immutability property. So if you are assigning T of 1, what happens? It will create an error, type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so that is tuples are always immutable. Once we assigned a value to a tuple, that value cannot be modified. We can assign a new value to a tuple, but the existing value cannot be modified. Like that, if we try to remove an item from this tuple, that also won't be supported. Just for example, we are trying to delete T of 3. T of 3 is actually this list, right? Yeah. That also will not work. what happens? Type error, tuple object doesn't support item deletion. Okay. Whereas if we try to delete the entire tuple, it will work. We can delete an entire tuple. Delete T means the tuple will be removed. After deleting T, if we try to access the T again, yeah, name error, name T is not defined because we are already deleted it. So entire tuple can be deleted, but individual item in a tuple cannot be deleted. Now what are the different methods which can be applied on a tuple? Length function is applied here also, that is to find or to count the number of items in a tuple. We can use the length function len. Len of A, where A is this much, the return value will be 6. The number of items in this tuple is actually 6. Like the count function also can be used here. Count is actually to count the number of specified item or the count the occurrence of a given item in a tuple. So the tuple name dot count and the item to be counted. So we want to see how many 2's are there in A. We can apply like this, A dot count of 2, and it will return 2 because 2 2's are there in this tuple, right? Yeah. Like that, A of index, another function index also can be used to find the index of item inside a tuple. So here we want to see what's the index of 6 in this tuple A. So the syntax is A dot index of 6. It will return 5. So if the same items are present more than once in the corresponding tuple, the index of the first occurrence of that item will be returned. Just for example here, if we try to find the index of 2, two different occurrences are there, right? So the first occurrence is at the index 1. So 1 will be returned. Now like the membership operator can be applied in tuple. 3 in A. We are checking whether 3 is a member of the tuple A. So if it is present, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Like that, a set of functions are there that can be applied on a tuple. First one is all. Return true if all the elements of a tuple are true or if the tuple is empty. So if all the elements in a tuple are non-zero values or if the tuple is empty, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. And any, the second method, return true if any of the element in the tuple is true. If the tuple is empty, it will return false. Length function is also there in case of a tuple. Return the length or the number of items in the tuple. Max, return the largest item in the tuple. And min, return the minimum or the smallest item in the tuple. Sorted. Sorted takes elements in the tuple and return a new sorted list. So sort function, in case of list we have both sorted and sort. Okay. If we are calling sort in case of list, it will return or it will modify the existing list into a sorted list. But here in case of tuple, since tuples are immutable, we cannot change the existing tuple, right? Instead, we can call it a sorted method. Sorted method, take elements in a tuple and return a new sorted list. Okay. So output of the sorted function will be a list which contains the items in the tuple in a sorted order. But the current value of the tuple will not be changed because the tuple is immutable, right? Now sum is another function, return the sum of all elements in the tuple. Example for these functions, first one is we are assigned an integer. All the elements of these tuples are integer type and we are calling this function sorted. Okay, so the format is like this, sorted of the corresponding tuple name, and we are assigning it into a variable because it will return a list, right? That is assigned to B, and if we try to print B, that will be the sorted value of the corresponding tuple. Okay, now if we try to print A, that is the original tuple, it will not be changed. The error value will be itself there in the tuple. So that's all about tuples in Python. Next session we will see another data type dictionary in Python. Thank you.